Blue Lake City Council meeting. Today is July 22nd. Please go ahead and stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Manager Burkhart, please establish a quorum after. Do you need a minute?
No, we can do that. Councilmember Napier.
Here.
Councilmember Louis Lizzo. Here. Mayor Sawatsky.
Here.
And Mayor Pro Tem Scafani.
I'm
here. All right, we have a quorum.
All right. Did you have a question, Pat, or issue?
No, just it's going to be really hard to
All right. Can we get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve. Second.
Go first and a second. All those in favor, say aye. Sure. We haven't been doing that because we've had people coming in based upon the time that it was scheduled on here. So I guess if you guys want to change that, we can. Do we want to ask the community to move stuff around then?
I think it's fair to ask if people have any special requests.
Okay. Does anyone have any special requests? Yes.
Since it's full, it's really hard to hear. So I would just ask everybody to try to project your voices a little bit more than you naturally would, just so you can all see part of it.
There's 2 seats up here, so we'd invite you to first come in if you could. And we have 3 more chairs over here, so there's going to be a little more room for folks to come in.
But still, they can't hear you. So
I understand.
I couldn't hear what you just all said.
We ask that they come into the room. There's 2 chairs here.
When you said so please speak up.
Great, thank you. All right. So any changes to the agenda? Yes, Adeline?
Well, the only thing is I typically like public comment to come at the beginning. And you change that around quite a bit, but I don't have a real problem. It's not as far down as it would be, I guess. I would prefer seeing public comment come at the beginning, more at the beginning.
Does the council wish to consider Adeline's request to have the public comment come first?
No, not tonight necessarily, but we can consider that in the future.
Sure. We're going to be working on the order of business and revisiting some of that that's already planted in our municipal code. And so I'll be working on that project and we can certainly put that in for consideration.
All right. So we have a first and a second. All those in favor of approving the agenda as it stands? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes. All right. Moving on to the next item. Consider applicants for the city council vacancy and potential appointment. This is a discussion action item. Does city staff wish to fill us in on this item?
You have 2 applicants. They're in your packet.
Great.
Also, I was looking to.
What was that? Sorry.
Sorry, I haven't used the group, but I was looking to address you as an applicant, but I did lose I was on the bus today and lost my write-up.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, if you haven't submitted it this time, it's too late.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. So who would like to go first? Adeline? Okay, great. Do you mind if I'm going to set some ground rules before we start? We're going to allow public comment from 2 to 3 minutes per speaker. The candidates have 5 to 7 minutes per candidate, and you can answer public questions for 1 to 2 minutes, and the candidates have a final 2 to 3 minute rebuttal. All attendees, including candidates and public speakers, must maintain civility and respect towards the city council, staff, and other speakers and audience members. Disruptive behavior, including but not limited to shouting, yelling, booing, or personal attacks, or any conduct that impedes the orderly flow of the meeting will not be tolerated. No personal attacks or slanderous remarks against any individual or candidate are permitted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a good idea, Mayor Sawatsky. Thank you. Good evening, City Council members, staff, and Blue Lakers. Tonight, the City Council has the opportunity to honor the voices of the people of Blue Lake, the votes of our citizens. We all know what happened last year. The exact same number of Blue Lake voters, 245, wanted me to be on the council as Kat Napier. The solution was to pull a name out of a box. By rights, there should have been a runoff between us. But unfortunately, there was no provision for that and no time to pass an ordinance. The position of councilperson is too important for there to be a pulling out of a name from a box.
This meeting is being recorded.
Sorry.
Tonight, the council can make right what was terribly wrong, to listen to the voters and choose me for this vacancy. It's not a perfect solution, as the seat I tied for is a 4-year term, and this is now less than a 2-year term. But it is the closest way to honor and acknowledge the voice of Blue Lakers. So I ask you to choose wisely, choose carefully, choose to listen to the people's votes. My record is well known. 30 years on the Blue Lake City Council, 12 of those as mayor. I'm proud of my accomplishments in my first term as mayor, advocating for the traffic circle, which is the beautiful gateway to Blue Lake. In my last term as mayor, 2 bridges over Dave Powers Creek, the groundbreaking and completion of our portion of the Annie and Mary Rail Trail, the traffic calming improvements to Greenwood Avenue, and the acquisition of the empty lot across from the post office that is now our Blue Lake Town Square. The council faces 3 immediate challenges. We have a $100,000 deficit in our budget. A few years ago, we faced a deficit also when Blue Lake Power stopped paying their rent. By working closely with staff, we were able to balance the budget and we survived. Next, the adoption of our housing element. I see it's on the agenda, and I urge the council to move to adopt it so we can save the city from fines and litigation. 96% of the cities in California have complied with the state mandate for housing. We need to join them. Finally, the hiring of a new city manager. It is no secret I was a big supporter of Manager Maker, as were many in this town. But here we are. I see in the Mad River Union that Trinidad's city manager has resigned, so we are not the only small city looking for a new manager in Humboldt County. I was involved in the hiring of 4 managers, including the first city manager, Dan Barrett. He was a retired military man who helped us make the transition to a city management form of government. I have the good judgment and institutional knowledge to help hire a new manager, and I look forward to that opportunity. I will now turn your attention to the petition before you, signatures of registered Blue Lake voters who support me for this vacancy. The signers include 1 former Blue Lake mayor, 3 former council members, including Chris Fire, whose leaving caused this vacancy, 2 current city staff members, a former city clerk, a current park and rec commissioner, a former manager, and our local plumber extraordinaire. I couldn't get around to all of the 245 citizens who voted for me, and I thank them for their support. These citizens have shown that they agree I should be on the council because of my extreme city government knowledge and extensive problem-solving skills and leadership abilities. I'm happy to answer any questions from the council or the Blue Lakers that are here. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Great. Do we want to do the council or public first?
Public.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have a mic available to take around?
You have it up there.
Thank you. Can we get a staff member to take it around so the public can speak into the microphone?
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you very much.
Let's go first.
Everyone will have 2 minutes to comment, as we have a lot of people, I'm sure, who wish to comment today on this item. Who would like to go first?
Comment or
Ask questions. Comments or questions?
Ask the question. Is this just for the candidate input? This isn't public input in general?
Correct.
No,
Okay, thank you, I
right.
missed that.
Yeah, that's later.
Would anyone like to speak or have a question for Adeline Jones?
I'm sorry.
Ex-Mayor Jones, maybe you can answer a few questions. I have quite a few here. I'm going to try and go. It's the public perception during the last 10 years we have not had a working relationship with our best partner, the tribes in Blue Lake. It's the public perception that we've had 10 years that this housing element could have been done starting in 2014. That's 10 years that could have, should have been done. We've had 10 years of declining school enrollment. We've had 10 years of declining business in Blue Lake. People feel we've had 10 years of not being listened to in Blue Lake. People like, I think, Angela Dare feel that we've had 10 years of using city staff in an improper manner to get ways that people think they want to have agendas done. For 10 years, we have not had approximately $250,000 worth of CDBG money coming to town that could have been used to help put foundations, bathrooms, and upgrade houses. So those are my questions for you at that time. Can you explain why all of those things I just mentioned just put us where we're at, and why that should be forgiven, and we should give you another 10 years to do it again?
Well, this is a 2-year term, less than 2 years. I'll try to address as many of those as I can. The actions of the city manager in the 9+ years that Mandy Mager was our manager was at the direction of the city council, always at the direction of the council. Every meeting was followed the Brown Act. We always followed that. Every meeting was handled in a professional way. I'm trying to think of some of the things you've said. The enrollment in the school, I'm very concerned about as well. And I think that's why we need affordable housing in this city, because we need to have more families, more diversity, more young people. That will help the school quite a bit. I have always been completely honest with my constituents. I've answered emails and phone calls. I've talked to many of you on the phone. And I think the city has run beautifully the last 10 years. In fact, every budget that we had while Mandy Mager was manager was under budget and on time. Even the year when we faced a devastating loss of revenue from the power plant not paying their rent. So I think my record looks pretty good. And I think we all benefit from what's happened in this town in the last 8 years that I've been mayor, this last 8, and then the 4 before that, for the total of 30 years of government experience. We're all enjoying the town square and the safety corridor and the rail trail. So I stand on my record, and I think it's a good one.
Great, thank you. Who's next? Yes, go ahead.
I don't have a lot of comment. I haven't been actively involved, but I think you should give Adeline a chance based on the number of votes that she had in the beginning, and that they're only off by 1. And one of those persons is here on the council, right? And I think you could give Adeline the opportunity to join back in.
Great, thank you.
I can have a question for point of order. This is point of order.
Sure, yes.
Is this a part of the public comment about this issue too, or just questions to Adeline?
Yeah, it's both.
Can you like differentiate what this is exactly?
you can ask questions or you can make comments, either or.
So this is not considered the public comment section?
Right.
This is the public, this
Do you
is
have any
the
advice on
comment
this?
session on this item.
Okay.
So if
on
you
this
have
item,
something
yeah.
to say about the
A different
candidates,
item?
Okay.
public comment is a time for
Mm.
other
Thank you very much.
non-agenda
Okay.
items.
So,
And it's,
sorry, I was talking to my attorney. One moment here. So we'll just go ahead and have this be questions for the candidates, and afterwards we will do public comment.
Thank you
So,
for clarifying that.
thank you very
Thank you.
much. Yes, so this is question for the candidate. Who's next?
We have a microphone here.
Does it work? I don't know.
Pass it that way. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
I was curious, what percentage of the cities of the state of California you say were up to date on the housing element?
96%.
96%.
There's only 4% of the cities in California that are not compliant.
How many?
4% are
Where did
not,
you get
so
your
96.
information?
I've looked it up. I've been
Have you?
doing research.
Yeah, if the Association of Bay Area Cities, Bay Area Governments, which has looked at this over the past many years, has suggested that 30 of 101 cities in the Bay Area are compliant with the housing element. So 30% of the cities in the Bay Area. We are a city of 1,200. We're talking about cities of 150, 250, 300,000 people. They have demands that are so much greater than ours. It is nowhere near 90%. In Southern California, they have a better percentage, no question. As we come north, not so.
Well,
Dave, do you have questions
my
for the candidate?
statement was
Sorry.
about all the
Your
cities in
statement was
California.
incorrect.
The statement.
Your statement was
stand.
incorrect.
We can.
In addition,
We can debate this later.
in addition, we will
Well,
not debate this
I
later.
looked it up and.
Yeah, you looked it up. I'm sure you.
All right.
I did.
Next, please.
Adeline,
Hi, Jean.
first off, all, thank you for your service for these many years. I have two questions, actually. One is the path that Blue Lake is taking with nonprofits and retail is showing up for an excess of nonprofits in town. And the retail end, say the growth of industrial park business has declined to the point where we are not going to be having a lot of businesses in town. And how do you see the future of Blue Lake continuing without jobs for our community? Not nonprofit jobs, but real jobs that put money in people's pocket to pay their rent, pay their mortgage. And how do you see that as a member of the council and you responding to the council after you lost as you wanted to recall them? How do you plan on working with the council to change any process that we have right now for business in town and growth?
If you look at the project, the Badawat Community Project, that's designed for the industrial park, the district, it has retail commercial in the bottom level and then residences above it. So that brings business and revenue and jobs to our town right there. And I'm a big proponent of all the businesses that have tried to come into town and have been successful. The Honeycomb Coffee is doing very well. The Makerspace next door is doing well. Hannah Padilla is going to be opening up the Stardos. She's cleaning that out to open up to have pizza and pastries and smoothies. So we're slowly bringing businesses to Blue Lake, and I think it's in a good forward motion.
Great. Thank you. Yes, next.
Hi, Adeline. I'm Erin McClure from McClure Trust, and the city of Blue Lake does not have a lease agreement with me and has not for 14 years where one of these water tanks sits. As we all know, I talk about it all the time. Adeline, that happened over the years that you were the mayor. Can you explain to the people in this town why you do not have a lease with my family?
Well, as I understand it, we have a continuing lease with your family. We had to continue it.
The lease expired 14 years ago, and I have been working and trying to get a lease agreement ever since. And why do you still not have it to this day?
Erin, is that your final question? I want
Yes.
to make sure you get one question. and then-
Okay.
Go
Well,
ahead.
I haven't been privy to the last 6 months of what's happening in closed session, but I can tell you that our city manager was always working towards getting your
Erin.
lease continued.
Go. Sorry.
Anyway, it's been an ongoing process, and we've always wanted to continue our lease with you and our good relationship with you, and the fact that you get free water from the city as well as lease payments, I think is a very good deal, and it's an ongoing process.
Great. Next question. Do we have any further questions? Otherwise, I'm going to head up to Zoom. Adeline, we may have some more questions up here.
From Zoom.
Linda, go ahead.
Yeah, I do have a question. But first, I just wanted to point out a few things mandatory in California that requires cities to work with tribal entities in their town. Number 1 is Assembly Bill 52. Number 2 is SB 18. I also want to point out that a summary is a mayor who does not work with a tribe in their city risks breaking the law, losing money, harming cultural and environmental. I'm getting there. In general, Adeline, why has the city not had a relationship with Blue Lake, knowing all the legalities that you face in mandatory situations of working with a tribe that is the largest business in our town? And is a plan to go forward to amend that if you're back on the council?
I guess, are you talking about the fact that the Mad River Brewery is owned by a tribe, or are you talking about the Blue Lake Rancheria next to us?
I'm talking about the tribe that is on your land that owns property, which is the Blue Lake Rancheria.
Okay, well, the Blue Lake Rancheria is a sovereign nation. It's not part of our jurisdiction. It's like being next to Mexico, really. We live next to a sovereign nation. So government to government, we've been working together. We have a liaison from our council that goes to their tribal meetings, and their tribal members are always welcome at ours, as is everyone.
Was going to those meetings, and also it's not Mexico. You are actually required to work with them with the numbers I just suggested. So before you get back in office, if you do, I highly suggest you look that up. They are a sovereign nation, but it's mandatory you work with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me finish the Zoom real fast. iPhone, go ahead. Please ask your question, your single question, and then Adeline will answer it for you.
Yes, thank you. This is Julie Christie. I'm sorry I don't have my name on it. I was at another Zoom earlier.
Hi, Julie.
Adeline, I just would like to ask if you're willing to just cease and desist, like respectfully and dignifiedly. I'm just wondering, are you willing just to step down as well? Thank you.
Do you wish to answer that?
I clearly love Blue Lake, and I want to serve Blue Lakers, and I want to be on the city council. I think I deserve it. I think it's honoring the voters of Blue Lake that we had the exact same number. We had a tie. I mean, in the 115 years that Blue Lake has been an incorporated city, we've never had a tie before. And we may never have another one in 115 years, but we had one. And I think to honor the voters of this town, I deserve a seat on this city council.
Who is next? Yes, go ahead.
Do I have to push anything?
No, just talking to it.
Okay. Hi, I'm Verda. I did run for council. I was definitely the biggest loser. I would say that one of the reasons I ran and the reason that we had so many people running for council was because we were so heartbroken and sick and tired of being community members, which was very far and few between in these seats. There were not very many chairs in here, and there were not very many filled chairs. And it was repeatedly the same people. And we got called names, we got put down, and we were discouraged from being participants in council because we were not heard. And often that was by the mayor of this town. And if you refer to videos, you will see over the years how we were treated very condescendingly, dismissed, and repeatedly ignored. Fortunately, we did find each other and we did speak up together and we did unite and we did run for council. And I stand very strongly between the three that are being recalled. I also stand behind Terry, and I would say anybody that was going to vote for me, please support Terry, because that was the same theology going forward.
This is
And
a question for the candidate,
thank you.
please.
It is towards Adeline. Yes. Adeline is the opposition in this situation right now, and I respect her work that she has done. However, I do have concerns of how she can be productive on the council right now in a situation where she is actively in spearheading a recall against 3 of our council members. I just want to say I think that we need to be looking forward.
Do you have a question for Adelina?
Well, how do you think you can work with these people? And you're literally on the front page with devil ears on her name. I'm sorry.
I didn't even,
that's
I
kinda
didn't
horrid,
even
like-
know that sign was handed to me. I didn't even see that sign before I held it up. But okay, I have never called anybody a name or disparaged anyone as mayor. I would never do that. And
We have one more question in the back.
I'm not sure exactly what your question is, but yes,
Going forward, and do you see yourself being
Okay.
able to work with them?
yes, I can work with these folks. I taught the middle school students for 17 years. I can work with a lot of different folks. But
No, remember, guys, we have rules. We have rules. So
I'm just pointing out that I have worked with a variety of folks, and I'm not saying that these are middle school folks. I'm just saying that I can work with them because I love this town. I care about this town. And my husband and I have chosen to live here and retire here. I would never disparage anyone or call them names. I don't know what you've seen, but that has not happened. I am not spearheading the recall at all. I'm not one of the forerunners of it or the ones that started it at all. Catherine, did you have a question?
No, I have a question.
Oh.
Yeah. So Adeline, with all of your comments and everybody else's comments, if you're not chosen to fill this position, how will you be able to go forward as one of us regular residents and still support the council as we all should in what we want to see and their vision, but how will you be able to handle not being chosen if that were to happen, and go forward and be positive and be supportive and still love Blue Lake?
go ahead.
Well, we
Adam.
all have our First Amendment right to speech and free speech.
Of
and
course, that's
how
why
I
we have the
feel. So
microphone.
exactly, and that's why I'm up here too. And I am right now chair of the Public Safety Commission. I'm doing a lot of work with some very good people on that. We've got a public safety fair scheduled for September 20th, and we're working hard
But
on
how
that.
will
So-
you be able to
Lori.
handle not being part of
Lori,
this
one
council?
question, please.
Well,
It's the same question.
I will be a part of this community. I'm not going to move or something. I'm part of the community. I can come to meetings. I will continue to speak my mind. I will agree with the council when there are times when we agree, which is most of the time, and then there are times when we don't. I worked with Elise Scafani for 2 years, and we had our disagreements, and then we had our agreements. We came together and we moved forward with projects. So I'm proud of my record in this town. I'm proud of what I've accomplished on my time as a council, and there's more to be accomplished. I like to continue that. Thank you for all your questions.
We want to have council ask questions before the candidate Who's back?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Adeline, we have the council will ask questions now then. Do you want to go right to left or left to right?
Left to right's fine. Go ahead.
You want to go first? Okay.
Have any questions?
Adeline,
John,
you have spearheaded the recall efforts against the current council. You have been one of the primary persons moving forward with it. How can you convince me that anything that would happen in closed session or was confidential would be kept confidential and not be used as part of the recall?
okay, I have been involved in many closed session meetings, and I have never divulged what's been in closed session. I can tell you that honestly, I would never do that. We take an oath when we become city council persons to follow the laws of the state of California, the Constitution of the California state, and I would never, ever divulge anything that happens in closed session, and I never have.
Great. Michelle, do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a few. They're all around the same kind of topic of cohesiveness, collaboration, working relationships. And I want to know that if you are selected, are you going to continue to promote and move forward with the recall efforts to dismantle this sitting council?
I sign lots of petitions, as many of you do. But
It's just yes, no.
well,
Really, it's just a simple question.
I've signed the petition, and that it continues, but it doesn't mean that I can't work with council persons. I work with all kinds of people that I disagree with, and so I have no problem with working with the council. I mean, if the recall happens, it's going to take quite a long time for it to happen, if at all. So, you know, a lot of this is conjecture. We don't really know, do we? But
Hey, come on.
please for us, because it's seen a lot of time. Yes,
Stop.
yes, I will be able to work with the council. Yes.
Are you going?
Oh,
Publix, please.
oh,
It's not public comment time. Please cease.
I am not spearheading the recall, but I am a signee of the recall.
So how do you envision this relationship working? But that's really not the question. It's going to take too long. How would you promote professional behavior of council members and commissioners as a sitting council person and a person who has a professional responsibility for code of conduct and ethical behavior?
Well, I've been on the council for a total of 30 years, and I've never had any Brown Act violations. I've never had any code of conduct complaints. So my record stands, and I'm proud of it.
Okay, that's all I have.
Councilmember Napier, do you have any questions for candidate Jones?
Well, I think as much a comment, I think in the many times that we have come across each other in various organizations, be it at the Grange or the Commission or in the council chambers or elsewhere, it seems to come up about the tie. And that certainly plagues you. And I'm sorry for that difficulty because it just by chance, it could have gone the other way. That said, to still insist that it is deserving of a seat, from that time to now, I think a lot has transpired. And I think my concern or question revolves around what type of leadership is it when a commissioner takes a letter with information about fines, about housing, and uses that to misinform the public and basically to terrorize them that fines are imminent. I'm wondering what kind of leadership that is.
Are you referring to the fact that I read something from the Lost Coast Outpost? That's what I did, I believe. Is that what you're referring to, the letter that I wrote? Because that was
No,
a
I'm
matter
not.
of public record.
No, I'm referring to a meeting at the Grange, and I think it. I guess I'm trying to both acknowledge the difficulty to. I hate to say win or loss because it was just if let's say a flip of a coin or a pick of an envelope.
That's
It's
all it
just
was,
chance.
Kat, and
But that said, the concern or the question I have for you is, what type of leadership is that? I guess I have to understand what type of leadership takes a letter from the state and misinforms the public to the point that they are terrorized that fines are imminent when they weren't. What type of, how is that loving Blue Lake?
that's a fact. That was just a matter of public record that I read. I'm not sure what you're talking about with the Grange, but I will say that, you know, it's not easy to run for city office. And
Well, I'm not,
when I ran
again, this
last,
was,
last
that's off
year,
point of the question.
and it was a tie. This is a way for this council to honor 245 people that think I should be up there. And, you know, to just have someone put their name in the hat who has never run for any city council position, has never been on a commission. I think the experience that I bring and the institutional knowledge that I bring to this position is unquestionable.
I do have one question for you,
Okay,
Adeline.
yeah.
I'm thinking about a meeting that you and I attended. It was an ad hoc committee meeting for setting the agenda. It was a little over a year ago. And the topic came up that I had spoken, made a public comment during a planning commission meeting. I got up to the podium, I introduced myself, I stated that I was speaking as a private citizen, not as a council member, and I commenced to make a comment about the topic that was being discussed. So then the next day or two, we had this meeting, we sat down and there was a discussion about my making that comment in that fashion. So I'm wondering if you recall telling me that I should consider stepping down from council at that meeting because you disagreed with the way that I made that comment at a planning commission meeting. Do you recall that?
I recall that I told you to be very careful when we come to meetings and we're council persons and we speak our minds, because oftentimes, and this happens with social media too, we need to be very careful about that. And I did warn you that even though you said you were a private citizen, when you come before a commission and they know you're a city council person, it does weigh your opinion more than others. So I do
Yes,
recall
but the
making
question
that.
is, do you recall telling me that I should consider stepping down from council?
I don't recall that. I recall telling you to be very careful about when you approach commission meetings, even as a private citizen. Catherine, did you have a question or comment?
You're appointing.
Well, this is the portion when you're.
You're appointing the
Oh,
questions.
okay.
Not running the meeting.
Okay, any other questions?
Do we have any other questions from?
Anybody from
Great.
Zoom?
All right. Would you like to call the next candidate? Do we have any further questions? No?
I don't know. Danny, do you know if there's any on Zoom on the other page?
They usually get bumped to the first page
Okay.
if they have their hand up.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Terry, I can't see. Oh, there you go.
Oh,
Hi. That little microphone adjusts so you can,
all right.
you know.
So they can hear me better. Hi, my name is Terry Bayless, and I love Blue Lake, and it would be such an honor to serve on the city council. And I totally understand how important the seriousness of serving on the council, and I will do everything that I can in order to be able to put the needs of the Blue Lake citizens first and foremost in the decisions that I make. And I really think it's important that we look at this as a forward thinking, how can we, work with the people in Blue Lake and outside of Blue Lake to bring businesses in. I've been a business owner in my lifetime, and I know how difficult that is, starting it from the ground floor up. um, that's difficult. And so I can certainly, understand the need to work with people and help that happen. I've lived in Blue Lake for more than 40 years. My grandchildren and my kids live here in Blue Lake and are homeowners here. And I am very vested in the future of Blue Lake. And my experience, not only as a business owner, but I was a teacher in the Arcata Elementary School District for almost 30 years. And being a teacher is not, it does fit the skills. I was thinking, what skills is it that I would bring to the table? But being able to have many projects going at one time, being able to get things done, that was something that you had to do a lot. I also noticed that working in the school district, and I was on the, I served as a liaison between teachers and the school district. I was also the president of the union for many years. I was also a chief negotiator for my union. So I have a lot of experience with contracts, with sitting at tables with people, working late into the night to finish things, get it done, come to a resolution, and being able to do that. I also have a lot of experience with budgets, being on that same negotiating team. It was our job to totally understand the budget, be able to pull it apart, and be able to, look for those places where you could give benefits and wages and things to teachers. And part of that was that I also had to attend school board meetings. And doing that, I learned a lot about the Brown Act, the Public Records Act, and how those work and why they're important, because it works the same. The budgets work the same. When I look at the city budget and the school budget, they are aligned very much the same. And there's not a lot of different in them. The federal and state money that comes into both entities are very similar. The state and federal laws that affect them is very much the same. Having the same thing like operating funds and how funds come in, go out. It is, they have unaudited actuals. I'm just listing some things that I have a lot of experience with. And also there was a point in 2008 when the market crashed and everything was really difficult. And we were working to try to keep the school district solvent. And I served on many financial committees where we brought in all the stakeholders within the district in order to go through the budget with a fine-tooth comb and be able to keep the district solvent. And that meant making some really tough decisions. So although I have not been part of a city council and I don't have that experience, I do have those things that I can bring to the table now. We have a budget deficit. I can bring that to the table and work on it. I have that experience. I understand. I've been coming to the meetings for the last 7 months, so I do know what's on the table for this current city council. And so I feel like I could hit the ground running and be able to participate. I feel like, as a community member and they're asking to be part of the council, I really think, a healthy, inclusive, vibrant community is really important. And I do think it is important that we reestablish that government to government relationship. And because we all, with the Rancheria, because we are all part of one community. So I feel like we have to, work together. I feel like some contributions that I can make is that I'm also, having been a teacher all those years, research is one of the absolute ground, everything you have to do comes out of that. And I am very good at that. And so, and I know not many people love it, but I do. So I actually enjoy the process of looking at problems and coming up with solutions and researching them from the standpoint of the best information that we can bring to the table. So I promise that I will work hard. I will be diligent. I will honor you by being honest and trustworthy and working with everybody in this community, because we're all part of one community. And it feels a little it upsets me, but like we're a little fractured right now. And I hope that we can bring that together and all come to the table because we have big issues that we are facing and they need to, we all need to work together and find the solutions to these problems and move the city forward with care and respect. So I think.
Thank you. Thank you. Who has questions for the candidates? Yes, go ahead, Winona.
Hi, Terry.
Hi.
I just want to say I'm so appreciative of you running.
Thank you.
And I totally understand.
Question.
Yes, that this is a very challenging time and it is very fragmented, as you said, and it feels like almost you're going against one group if you go for one, and that's not the way that it should be. And I do hope that we can all unify soon. I love how you said hit the ground running, and I acknowledge
Winona,
that.
do you have a question for
Yes,
her?
I do. I've
Great.
seen you here at the meetings. I've seen your advocacy. I've seen how you have done your due diligence. I appreciate that. My question is, with you being so cohesive and like so comfortable with everybody, what do you see as the biggest challenge if you were brought onto the council?
Well, I think some of the issues that we face, development of the community, I think that's one of the biggest challenges we face because we have to have the ability to sustain ourselves financially. And that seems to be in a rocky place. And we go up a little in businesses. I've been part of the city for decades. And then we lose those businesses. And how can we come together and figure out how do we get them to stay? And what supports can we give those cities? And we also have to look outside the box of what business looks like in Blue Lake so that when we're thinking about a business, it's also that it will generate revenue because there are, businesses that don't generate as much and businesses that do. So how do we work together with all of that?
Anyone else?
Great. Next question. Yeah, one. Cherish, we'll get that to you next.
Terry, I support you for one. I do hear that you have a lot of good things, and I just want to know that you are willing to just work together as a group. I want to make sure that could be done because previously we've never seen this before, and with the group that we have, will you be willing to work with all of them and be there for the community?
Yeah. It wouldn't matter who would be sitting on this council. That would absolutely be my job to work together. And I think it's really important. I know as a person who's been here with my opinions and the council's listened to that it is important that we honor all the opinions that come to the table and are respectful of those. And then ultimately the council would make decisions, and that isn't always going to make everybody happy, but being respectful of one another's opinions are really important.
Thank you.
Cherish was next, if somebody can get that over to her. Please.
So, a quick question with the uniqueness we have with the power plant and our tie into the PG&E system, this being one of the only communities that isn't moving forward with some kind of bus system, what is your view of pursuing some kind of development so we have the ability to not only have power here in the very likely event that we will have power outages for extended periods of time and be able to supply power to our town, but also move forward with clean energy solutions and using some kind of incentive to help clean up that park so that we can have some real retail, some real sales tax coming into this community, and also moving forward with green energy, which is imperative. What is your view?
And I completely support the idea of having energy that's forward thinking and moving forward. My thing has always been the safety of the city of Blue Lake and making sure that we have done our due diligence to make sure that every part of what we are doing moving forward considers the whole big picture. And I totally understand that that interconnection is very, very valuable. And so I would want to make sure that whatever choices that we make, A, puts the safety of the citizens of Blue Lake first. And secondly, that, you know, we have the opportunity to really sit down and look at the full range of everything, look at what the possible costs could be, because it, you know, wasn't necessarily considered before what would be the long-term outcomes of some of the decisions we made down there in the Powers Creek District when it was the industrial park. And right now we have a very big issue of the past Calgon plant sitting there that is going to take some extreme measures to clean up because the ground, because of the pollution they were talking about it on the city council. So I would just want to know that what we're doing is the safest and cleanest and best way, and that we use that interconnection if that's what the community decides. And I think they need to be an integral part of that decision moving forward. Thank you.
Moving up to Zoom, Julie, or do we, sorry, go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead, Julie, it's fine. We'll get you and then we'll jump back to the public.
Oh my gosh, I appreciate it because I'm whistling you guys out of my pocket doing chores. Terry, my question would be for you that if council accepts your application this evening for the position, are you willing and able during the tides that we're steering the ship to grab an oar and get some blisters? It's going to take us a minute, and we really need to be able to collaborate with our community, our council, and our staff, and to focus on our public safety and our infrastructure above all. Are you able to do that for our community? Thank you.
I am able to do that, that for our community. Absolutely. That would be a very important part of what I would strive for on the council.
Back to the public.
So Terry, one of the questions that were asked of you as far as a response here, number 3, was, what do you view as the main goal purpose of the city council? One answer was the goal and purpose of the city council is to be the vision for the future of Blue Lake. We direct staff to follow through on that vision. Do you feel you have to be that vision, or do you think it's possible for you to reflect your constituents' vision and carry that forward?
I believe that you would reflect the community's vision of what, and I think that's something we really need to work on, is to include the community and find some new and exciting ways to include the community, you know. So I do believe that it would be reflecting that. That vision of the community.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, hello, my name is Captain Donahue. I have a question that is, what is your knowledge of microgrids?
Of microgrids?
Yes.
Well, I do understand that a microgrid would include, usually it would be some form of solar power. And then, you know, you would also maybe include battery storage with that. So the whole thing works together. And then that energy could be stored for a later time. It could be released back onto the grid at a later time when it's needed. So that microgrid. And then that a microgrid could also be that people have that set up where it would be independent of the grid completely.
So in that answer to me, do you have an opinion on battery storage?
I believe that battery storage can be an important part of a community. It is oftentimes, sometimes the placement of where that battery storage would be, that could be a problem. And so that would always be the setting of that for, you know, I would want to take real consideration about where that would be located.
Thank you.
Next. Adeline has a question.
Yeah, hi, Terry. I've been on the council for 30 years, and I have not seen you at council meetings except for the last 7 months when you started fighting against the battery power system. And I was wondering, why haven't you held any commission positions or joined any local organizations?
I did say that in my past, I have. So I was a very active member with the parent-teacher organization at Blue Lake School, and also parent volunteer in the classroom. So although I attended city council meetings years ago. I also, was busy raising a family and participating, and it was outside of Blue Lake, but I did gain a lot of experience in participating in what was part of my job requirement for the city of Arcata. And I also did a lot of outside work. So one of the things I mentioned in here is that I created after-school programs peer-to-peer for literacy, and I was very involved in literacy projects throughout the community. So Adeline, even though it wasn't directly here, it's giving back to your community at large. And even though I did have an opposing view at that time. Part of my opposing view was that I felt like there needed to be more communication with the citizens of Blue Lake. And that was lacking. The first time it came up, it was late into the process. And so I feel like with any big project or infrastructure needs we do, we should be including the community in that dialogue. Thank you.
Any further public questions? Seeing none. Yeah, Ron, did you have you were shaking? No, great. All right. Do we want to go ahead and open up to the council for questions?
Sure.
I'm going to go left to right.
Sorry, don't have any.
Don't have any questions.
Actually, go back to them.
What was that?
Go right to left.
Just-
Yeah, do that.
I'll go next. We've started already. Terry, I guess my concern right now is you've been essentially anti-battery so far. You led a campaign against the battery project. If a project came forward that was similar to that, how would you handle that?
Well,
Could you handle it neutrally and look at it with a fresh set of eyes, or?
Well, I think that would be a requirement of me sitting on the council to be able to listen to the community and listen to the things that were brought forward. I think there's a lot of research that needs to be done, and yeah, that needs to be done on that. And I can't say that I would close my mind off to that for sure. I think that I would need to gather all the information. I would need to hear from the citizens of Blue Lake and and then make a final decision on that. But I do have some strong feelings about the setting of it right there by our river. So, and there's various concerns about that, but maybe somebody can help me feel comfortable with that and address the concerns that I have. Thank you.
Michelle?
Terry, I think that you kind of alluded to this. You repeated it a few times, but how will you address the division of the town of Blue Lake? What would be your style or your approach or your recommendations for repairing some of this division?
Well, I think sometimes if we can find a way to reach out to the community more, I think some of those divisions happen maybe because we don't know each other well enough. We don't serve on, maybe getting involved. I was also part of the 1997 Visioning Commission for Blue Lake. That was something I also did. Things come up in your head and go, oh, yeah, I did that. And that was a long process. And one of the things that really came out of that is you build these friendships and bonds and have a common goal. And so I feel like finding ways to bring the community into the discussion and also making sure that we are polite and respectful, even when we're out in the community, and what we're saying to other people and how we're talking or what expressions are. Because I know sometimes as a community member, if you're looking out and somebody's making faces at you or whatever, that can be really uncomfortable. So I just think that finding ways to be respectful and bringing our community together, events within the community so we know one another. It's harder to be cruel when you know each other.
Thank you.
Councilmember Napier?
Yeah, well, I'd like to thank Sheriff and Kathy, and thank you as well for bringing up the best battery storage, because that's, clearly you were able to bring a lot of the community out to express their opinion, and sometimes quite loudly. You weren't responsible for that. But I think it demonstrates a willingness to get out there and connect with the public and bring them to a common point. Um, but I feel like what I'm hearing now is that are you a hard stop no on battery energy storage systems?
No, I'm not a hard stop.
Okay.
No.
But I think something that you had written here speaks to my other question, and it was similar to for Ms. Jones, which I'm wondering what your style of leadership is. I see here that you comment on a desire to represent the constituents, listen to issues, hear concerns, represent the ideas of all members of the community. So how do you fold that into leadership in a council position?
Well, I think one of the things, and I know in other leadership roles that I've come, that I've worked on, you would listen to all the ideas and weigh how they affect the community, how they, what is their future impact going forward. And as a leadership person, being able to explain that to people, even if they are going to disagree with you. And, so I feel like sometimes you have to make some hard decisions and people aren't going to always be happy about that. And then you have to be able to talk to people about why you made that decision or, yeah. I don't know if that answers your question.
Well enough, thank you.
All right, any further questions, council members? All right. Ryan, so do we open up for public comment now, or what's the next stage? You said that we have to open up for public comment after the questions.
Yeah, after the questions, I think you were gonna give a rebuttal.
Okay.
I would wait until the candidate's portion is complete and then open it up to public comment.
Okay.
Unless they want to rebut public comment. It's up to you.
Okay. Adeline, do you have any final comments? I guess we'll just do a final comments.
Well, just, yeah.
I think it's ironic that we were both teachers. You with Arcata School District for 30 years, and I was with Eureka City Schools for 30 years. And you made me think also about some of the things I did as my job because I was involved in the union as well. But I think it's important that when people come forward for positions like this, that they have shown some commitment to being on a planning commission, an arts and heritage commission, a public safety commission. I was on the planning commission for 8 years before I first ran for city council. I was a planning commission secretary for a year before that. So I really want Blue Lake to be a welcoming, friendly town, and I've always loved this town. I will continue to love it, and I look forward to working with the council in the future.
Great. Gary, any final comments?
I just want to let everyone know that I will do my best to represent everyone in this community. And I feel like you don't necessarily have to have a lot of experience to have a heart to stand up for the job. And I feel like I do have experience to do this job. So thank you.
So right now, open it up for public comment. Okay. So now we're going to open it up for public comment on this item. Does anyone wish to speak?
Is it for the candidates?
It's for the candidates, yes.
Did you say everybody can have 2 minutes?
Yes. So 2 minutes.
Won't take 2 minutes. I just want to say that what Terry Bayless will bring to this community is honesty and integrity and kindness. She is one of the kindest people that I know. She always faces everything head on. She problem solves. She's one of the biggest problem solvers I know. And she has a lot of integrity. I mean, and that says a lot about a person, their integrity. And she's willing to work hard. She's willing to research items,
I mean, I think she'll just be a really good addition to this new council. Thank you so much.
Okay. Next, yes, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Lori Conti. I don't have anything scripted. Terry has been a neighbor. I know her children. I know her grandchildren. And she's a fine example of someone who works hard. I think that the comparison of 30 years of experience, which is admirable, doesn't mean that you're the best person for the job at the time. I think Terry comes with a strong background in organization, and I think she will, going forward, help grow Blue Lake. I think she would be a great addition to this council who needs someone that's willing to work with them. It's not a job that most of us would step forward to try to do. And so I think that Terry is a level-headed, honest, willing to work with whoever is in that she would need to work with. I think she would be a great asset for Blue Lake. And that doesn't mean that Adeline's time has not been appreciated and respected, but it might be time for a new voice and someone who has some fresh ideas and isn't looking to recall this current council. Thank you.
Next. Yes.
Council, Mayor. Hello, my name is Catherine Donahue. I'm a member of this community. I have been for over 40 years. Both of my children went to Blue Lake School, K through 8. I am a member of the Juanitas Club. I am on the board of directors for the museum. I've been involved in this community for a long time. I'm also a registered nurse and have lots of degrees like people are claiming here. This council has caused a problem in the community because of the division that's happened for the community, and it concerns me greatly. There are citizens that have put forward this petition for recall and signed the petition for recall. It's not one person that's done it. It's not Adeline has done this and making it all happen. A lot of people have signed the petition, and I think the council should take note of that. The council is a new council. They've never had this position before. They actually have no practical experience in their job right now. And they came in and immediately, and this is what is concerning the community, eliminated every project and everything that the prior council, not just Adeline, but the whole council had put together and worked on for a long time. And I feel like it was done without, there's no plan to replace it with something. There's no ideas to replace it with something. And there's been asked for extensions, long extensions. So this can be researched. It's been researched for years and they came up with a plan. And now we have no plan. It's been disked by this council. And we are going to be paying as Blue Lakers fines for not having a plan, whether we are 5% or 6% or 30%, I don't care what the percent is. We don't have a plan in place. So there are multiple ramifications that are happening that are going to cost the city a lot of money. The new council members, they don't have the history and the knowledge of why or what the laws are that govern elected city officials. That's not a terrible thing. It's only terrible when people that are unknowledgeable throw out everything that's previously been accomplished. And so no matter what the level of one's education is, and I have had many jobs. Pardon?
So I'll let you finish. That was the 2-minute time. So if you want to.
I've had many jobs. I never walk into a new job. I've been a nurse for 50 years. I've worked in ICU for 30 years. I never walk into a new job and take over and get rid of everything. Because I want to learn the job. It takes at least 6 months to a year to figure out a new job.
Thank you.
I have one last comment here. If this council truly wants to bring this community, excuse me.
We all get a certain amount of time. Your time is up.
Excuse me. All I can say is we would like our community to get together and work together. We need to respect what the voters voted on here in this city.
Thank
And
you.
we're ignoring that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, who's next? Yes, Jean, go ahead.
Hi.
Jean.
I've served on the council with Adeline, and I want to say, sometimes it always seems like something's going forward and then it takes a left. And I can't explain that. And the rolls of the eyes and the attempts to intimidate people with the rolls of the eyes and saying that you're going to shoot somebody that's coming from this recall effort and the people that are.
Can we focus on the
Yeah, okay.
candidates, please?
I'm trying. I'm trying. Terry, I think, could bring some fresh ideas, which is much needed in town. We have a rundown ultra power plant that has been looked at for years and it's still there. We need new ideas and new solutions. And the idea that people that are on the council now don't have the expertise to do the job is not correct. We have people that have had experiences in different capacities that understand the process of how to build a town, how to build a business. And I think it's in the best interest of the city to acknowledge the talents of the people that are on the council now that were voted for by the citizens of the city. And it's discouraging to me to have people vote and have a tie and have one person say that they're not being honored when the people that voted for the council are not being honored by the recall attempt. We voted, we were correct, these people are good, and the recall attempt is against the voters that voted for the people of the city.
5 rings is what we'll do from.
Thank you, John.
5 rings is what we'll do from now on. Okay? All right. Who's next? And I'd like to remind everyone, let's focus on the candidates itself, not on the recall. This is about the candidates, please. Yes, go ahead. Yes, please, Becky.
Becky Thornton Ricosa here, and I want to say that I would like to see Terry on here. The new visions and everything needs to be continue. I think you guys are doing a wonderful job, and I think she would make a wonderful addition. And you know, we did out with the old, but we need some new vision for this town. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes, Becca. Yes.
Right. I'm really uncomfortable with public speaking, so forgive me if I'm kind of shaky. And this is really hard to say because I don't want to alienate anybody. I don't like taking sides. I just try to take in the information and come up with my own perspective and then quietly hold that and do what I need to do to engage. But there were 2 qualities that I observed in the 2 candidates. And I'm sorry, Adeline, but the qualities that really impacted me were a sense of entitlement and arrogance. And those things make me really uncomfortable for a person in leadership. I think it tends to think that you know it all and you're not really open to hearing what other people have to say. And as a resident who lives right next door to the city and has a lot of impact from city actions and activities, I feel incredibly vulnerable living in this community. And this really concerns me. And it has concerned me for a long time, but I haven't felt like I had the voice or even had the support to say these things. I respect you as a person. I was really glad to see you at the Badawat film. I think we share some common interests and care about this place. I don't know you. Tell me your name again. Terry. Terry. You, on the other hand, make me feel relaxed. You embody humility. And I think that having a beginner's mind, even if you have a lot of relatable or transferable experience, I think that beginner's mind means that there's more opportunity for the whole of the community to be represented here on council. And so I'm just saying those two things. And humility would be such a refreshing thing for this community out of a representative. So thank you.
Thank you. Next. Anyone else from the public?
Angela Dare. Hi, guys. It's been a minute since I've been to a meeting in person. I just wanted to come and thank you all and put my vote in for Terry. I appreciate her stepping up. And just in the regards to the comment about her only being involved for 7 months, we all start somewhere. And I only started 3 years ago coming to meetings and being aware of what's happening. So I applaud you because once you came, you stayed. And you are stepping up to be the council person. So I hope you get their vote. Thank you.
Next.
Hi, I would also like to thank Adeline for her service. I think that looking forward, it's really obvious that it will not be productive time if she sits on council and continues to butt heads with the sitting members of our council. I think Terry has obviously displayed she's willing to go forward, and I think that will be on all of our benefits. I'm going to the recall. I just also want to say thank goodness for Zoom. Look at everybody on Zoom tonight, and that's so good. And I will add to her words of entitlement and ignorance also disregard, overlooked, brushed aside for the community's position, words, and feelings for many years, and that is why I will support Terry.
Great, thank you. Next.
And I don't like Trump, so.
All right, Dennis, go ahead. Can you guys be quiet back there?
Are we ready?
Yep, go ahead, Dennis.
Okay, I support the appointment of Ms. Jones to the vacant council seat for 2 reasons. First, vote results tied with Mrs. Napier demonstrated the public's desire for Mrs. Jones to serve on this council. I should think that the public weight far exceeds this kangaroo court, and that should be a consideration, and it's probably the only consideration for putting her on this seat. The second reason is the need for experienced leadership. Newer council members seem to be struggling with their core responsibilities. Council members have expressed concerns about being overworked and have considered the need for a facilitator. The councils that included Mrs. Jones had stellar results over the past decade in partnership with the city staff. They approved budgets on time and were within budget year after year. Mrs. Jones' experience and ability to clearly communicate city business to the public will be an invaluable asset. She can also serve as a mentor to new members, helping to guide the council, foster trust with the staff, and rebuild confidence with the public. Ms. Jones is the right person to lead this council forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Dennis, I have a quick question with, I just misheard something he said.
Oh, okay. Dennis, quick question on what you said.
Did you refer to this meeting as a kangaroo court?
Yes, I did.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Julie Christie, go ahead.
Yes, thank you everybody for your deliberation this evening, and to our 2 applicants. I really appreciate them both stepping up. I would like to comment too that your Zoom people did not get to do on the consent agenda earlier. We approved the agenda, and maybe this evening when you guys start the housing element, we could like maybe have a special meeting out of that in public comment. But jumping back to this, I really know a lot of you that have been participating for several years now, and have heard me speak. My standards have been pretty consistent. And I would promote Terry this evening. I cannot promote somebody that has actively endorsed redactment and of public records. We have several meetings between Access Humboldt and Justin recording that we as a public were denied those recordings. It was promoted by the only two people because we had such a shifting council at that time that there's only been two people really running the city. You guys, I just commend you. I commend you so much. You've been the first critical thinkers in these seats that have listened to the public, been open to criticism. And I want somebody else like that that can be a critical thinker and ready to step up and not do what's happened in the past few years. So again, I just support Terry, and I don't want to have to deliberate any further with that. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Lynn, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Lynn Glenn, and I have a couple of comments. One is, I believe with the difficulties the council is facing with the recall, and our lack of income in the city due to the economic climate, there are some real serious issues that have to be decided, and it's really important to have trust and respect for your fellow council members. I think that's required. And I'm concerned because with Adeline on the recall committee and some of the public statements that you've made that there isn't going to be that respect and trust possible. I do like Terry's experience. I don't know her well, but I like the way the comments she has made publicly that I've seen and the experience she's had in her job seems adequate and actually very helpful for the council. Regarding the two issues of experience, because certainly Adeline has a lot of experience and I respect that, but the council in the last two situations where they had to replace council members, one, they had the opportunity to choose the person with the next highest votes, and they chose not to. They chose somebody else. And another one, they had the opportunity to select a person with experience on the council over a person who had no experience on the council and not much time actually in the city and on city commissions, and they chose that person. So there's kind of a precedent, and I think Adeline was the mayor at both times for choosing the right candidate, even if there was a person with more experience. So I hope that you choose Terry. I think she's a good candidate, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Any more comment on Zoom? I'm not seeing anybody, but just reaching out. All right, last call for public comment. Anyone? All right. Yes, go ahead.
I don't want to comment.
Would you mind
I'd like to know the last name of Dennis, who was on it. So it makes I can see on. Thank you.
All right, bringing it back to council for potential action. Or discussion. Do you wish to discuss it? Entertaining motion.
I'm ready to make a motion. I would like to move that we appoint Terry Bayless to the vacant city council seat.
I was second.
We have a first and a second. Last call for public comment. Seeing none. All those in favor of appointing Terry Bayless to your council, say aye.
Aye.
It passes. We have to go ahead and minister the oath of office then?
It's the next agenda.
The next agenda item. Okay, great.
Okay.
All right, moving on to the next agenda item. Receive oath of office for the person appointed to fill the vacancies. Terry Bayless, would you please approach? Staff, are you ready for this?
Oh, yeah. Can't be more ready than I am right now.
Do I have to get up there?
Let me get, no, you don't have to get up. I'm gonna bring her papers. And you have a chair.
She'll sit here.
Perfect. Yes. All right, Terry. It is my pleasure as the city clerk to swear you in with your oath of office. And we'll share one too.
Okay.
But I'll have you repeat after me.
Okay. Sorry about that.
And you're going to want to raise your right hand because we're swearing an oath to the Constitution and stuff here, people. This is serious business.
It is.
All right. So I, Terry Bayless,
I, Terry Bayless,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
All right, Terry, it is my pleasure to say that you have done your oath of office, and I will have you sign it. That's going to be your protocol manual. It's thick and you'll love it, I'm sure.
Okay.
And then all city council members take a pledge of civility that basically establishes, hey, we're here to conduct ourselves appropriately, doing the public's business. I'll leave that for you to read and sign, and you can give that to me at your earliest convenience.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Danny.
Yeah, of course.
Man.
Congratulations.
Come join us here.
Thank you. And Laura, I do definitely.
Again.
Terry, come and join us at the
Come to
council
the-
table.
Just gotta grab her stuff.
Dawn, can you grab her one of the mics?
Yeah.
We got one.
Or
Do you? Okay.
But just, that probably means somebody else can type it on.
okay.
Grab the ones above for you.
Oh yeah, be careful.
I'm sure you'll be recalled tomorrow.
Thank you.
Funny.
All right.
Funny.
Moving on to item number 5, adopt previous council meeting minutes.
Well, this is less spicy than the preceding events.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the following, sorry. I don't have an agenda item in. City staff, go ahead and fill us in on the meeting minutes. Yeah. Have any comments on it?
There's minutes and you have them
Great.
for approval.
Do you guys?
I'll
wanna
go
approve
ahead
these?
and start.
Okay, great.
We
Okay.
did receive some corrections from the public via email that are, type things.
Fantastic, fantastic. I do want to just say my preference again for the minutes that I would prefer to not have essentially a transcript of the meeting. I would like them a little more succinct and summarized with the important points being put in there. The bigger the volume of the meeting minutes, the more opportunity for errors. That being said, I for March 11th and for another meeting, the June 23rd minutes, I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, that the minutes, there should be some indication on the bottom of the minutes near your signature that they were transcribed from video recording because you were not present at the meeting. Same thing for, again, June 23rd. There were a couple of, on June 24th meeting, I think there was a couple of spelling errors like Humboldt for line 27 or 27 for Humboldt Waste. And then I think Reading over on line 80 instead of reading. And 900 pages later, on line, or still the 24th, for some reason, we're down to line 64 again. So I don't know what page this is, but there's something along the lines of the proud to be a Blue Lake YIMBY. It was a YIMBY, so YIMBY, yes, in my backyard. And instead of whatever it was. June 24th, Tripeppy Smith incorrectly spelled. Again, this was on another line 41. And then on the 24th, with the motion to move forward and direct the city attorney to engage with Tripeppy Smith, there was a motion summary of a consensus vote. I voted no. There were 3 votes on that, and I voted no. There were 3 yeses, and I voted no. I did not want to do that. And on June 27th, Tripeppy Smith again on line 02, I guess.
102?
It must be 102. I think that my page kind of got cut off. I think there are wide margins there. And then the very end, the motion was stated, and just by the way, I was not present at this meeting on June 27th, but the last motion to adjourn was motioned by Elise Scafani, and it says that it was seconded by myself. I was not there, and so I would just say that's my input for the minutes.
Thank you.
For those. Yeah, thank you.
Any further council comments on the minutes?
I do,
Okay.
when you're ready.
I am.
I know that was a lot.
March 11th, pretty much from 193 to 202. I appreciate the effort. I think it's so uninformative and missing so much just to strike it in its entirety. And it could be easily replaced with Councilmember Kat Napier makes several comments on city clerk position.
Okay.
Any other comments? Does the public wish to comment on the minutes? Ms. Adeline, go ahead.
I let Danny know of a few things that I had found in the minutes. I think it's a good idea when you do minutes to build out what the initials stand for. For instance, there was RCA, that should be RCEA, I believe, Redwood Coast Energy Authority. So at least once at the beginning, you should have the initials, explained out to what it stood for. Because I think in one of those minutes, it was RCA, which is wrong. It should be RCEA, I believe. And so that would Redwood Coast Energy Authority. There's no RCA that I know. Correct.
Great. Thank you. Any further public comment on that? Alex, just go ahead.
So the minutes of March 11th were transcribed from the video.
Correct.
There were minutes from the original meeting, were there not?
I don't know what you mean.
What do you mean? Sorry.
Pardon?
I'm not sure what you mean.
That you had a meeting, open session on March 11th. Were minutes taken during that open session?
Yeah.
Probably. And as a point of order, if this is public comment, this isn't a question and answer period. If we can stay within those parameters. Thank you.
Council, please. So we can follow up with you on that later. Is that
Thank you.
correct? Right?
Thank you. That's
He-
informative enough.
Can we answer his question or not? Sorry.
You can, generally don't.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you. All right. Any other further comment on the minutes? Yes, go ahead, iPhone.
Thank you, John. Again, it's Julie Christie. I would promote Michelle's additions and corrections to the minutes. Just being an avid participant for years, you guys have a little grain of salt with it. But one suggestion I've made in the past is that we get these agendas in time, the minutes are sent out in time, that we have time to review them. Also, with the technology that's available, we can do shortened paragraphs on on that, but I think that we could have timestamps with the videos as well to our agenda. Other municipalities do that, and it really helps a lot. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Um, I would like to ask staff the question about the March 11 minutes. Can I do that?
Sure.
Can you just share with us how it is that you were needing to do those March 11 minutes, even though you weren't here at this meeting? Could you just share were those minutes not available? And so you had to create them?
I was asked to create the minutes from the video.
Okay. And that was
I could not locate minutes for that date.
okay.
If that helps simplify anything.
Very good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Do we not have recording, maybe?
There was a recording.
There was a
so
recording?
that
She
was
made the
what I
minutes out
That's
of.
how she got the minutes,
Got it. Okay.
To create the minutes.
Thank you. We have the question answered.
but the notes that were taken by the city manager were not
Point
available.
of order, that they were not my question. It doesn't answer my question. I got that information, but it doesn't answer my question.
Would you like,
Could you restate your
Could
question,
you-
please?
would you mind coming back up again, Alex? I apologize.
My question is, what happened to the minutes for the March 11th meeting then? The minutes that were taken at the meeting. Your minute taker here has just said that she wasn't there March 11th, that she was told, and Danny has said she couldn't find the minutes. So I'm asking you, the council, what happened to your minutes? At the time, that's what I'm asking.
All right. Yes, go ahead.
So Michelle, you mentioned that you would like to see condensed version, not so much detail as the words, but for me to be able to do that, I would like a consensus from the council before
sure.
I start changing it.
Understood, understood. And I think that that would be an agendized item later. We can discuss some of the formatting of the minutes at a later time.
Okay,
Um,
beautiful.
if
Thank
that's
you.
okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can we get a motion?
Motion to approve and adopt the previous council meeting minutes, March 11th, June 23rd, June 24th, June 27th, with the stated corrections.
First, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a first and a second. Last call for public comment. Seeing none. All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 It passes. All right, moving on to item number 6, public comment. The public is invited to present petitions, make announcements, or provide other information to the city council that is not relevant to the scope of authority of the city of Blue Lake that is not on the agenda. The city council may provide up to 15 minutes for this public input session to assure that each individual presentation is heard. The council may uniformly impose time limitations of 3 minutes to each individual presentation. The public will be given the opportunity to address the items that are on the agenda at the time we take on that agenda item. Who would like to comment? Yes, go ahead.
John, who was second?
Elise.
Thank you.
Dave Ponte, 311 H Street. With a lighter note, late January 2020, Councilmember Ricka and Hogan presented a resolution to name the bridge over Powers Creek over by the horse arena after Scotty Harnden, who'd been the long-term public works guy and remarkable man, lived across the street from us on H Street. He and Rose were like incredible and raised their family and adopted kids and fostered kids. And he was this amazing guy. And I remember when that happened, and I keep thinking that perhaps someday there'll be a plaque or something there for Scotty, and there isn't. And so I was just hoping and bring that to your attention that lo, these many years, maybe 5 years, I'd say, Bobby, you think, when that was first done? That maybe we could get a plaque or a sign that recognizes Scotty for all his years.
Great, thank you.
Yes,
Okay,
Alex.
how about you and I split the cost of that back? We got
I'm with you.
financial problems. You up for that?
I'm up for that, for sure. Absolutely.
Shake on.
Shake on.
Good.
All right, who would like to make public comment next? Yes, go ahead. Sorry, Adeline, I'll get you next. I apologize.
Okay, so I'm Karina, and now that I've alienated a few of you, I'm sure, I have a public announcement to make. And I'm going to read it because I get too nervous to speak free.
Put that mic down tiny bit.
Okay. Like that?
All right, put it in your mouth.
Does that work? Right in front, do I have to move it because I'm small?
Yeah.
All right, now you can start my time. In coordination with Baudouet Watershed Council and California Watershed Stewardship Program, I'm initiating and organizing a Friends of Powers Creek volunteer community working group. Our mission will be to enhance Powers Creek capacity to support an ecologically balanced and diverse habitat in general and aquatic migration in particular, as well as to help prevent and mitigate residential flooding, of which I'm all too familiar with. What was historically a vital watershed and tributary has been post-industrially relegated to a neglected urban drainage ditch, and it is in terrible shape and need of care. Our plan is to offer community educational opportunities and work events doing invasive vegetation removal and erosion control, native plant establishment, and fish migration monitoring. Our local volunteer efforts will support and be supported by the Powers Creek Restoration Project, a long-term plan to facilitate a more ecologically stable and thriving watershed running through our town. If you'd like more information or to get involved, our email address is friendsofpowerscreek@gmail.com, easy. And we'd love to hear from you. And I'll keep everyone updated on our progress and community events. And that's all for now. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Adeline, you were next.
Yeah.
Okay. Tomorrow night, 5:30 to 7 o'clock, the Redwood Coast Energy Authority is having a community conversation about battery energy storage. And this is located at the D Street Neighborhood Center, 1301 D Street in Arcata. The Redwood Coast Energy Authority is very interested in battery storage systems. And this will be a forum where there's going to be at least 4 people that are very well known in the field of battery storage systems. So I think it would be something that we should be interested in attending. There's 3 Blue Lake events coming up. Of course, we're in the middle of the Humboldt Folklife Festival, culminating with the all-day free event on Saturday, this Saturday, July 26th. Also on Saturday, July 26th, there's a yard waste day for the city of Blue Lake from 9 to 4. And then on August 3rd is our 56th annual Annie and Mary Day, starting with the Bill Nestler Car Show the night before. Our parade is at 11 a.m., organized by former manager Mandy Mager, with Andy Jones announcing at the town square. We now have electricity there, so we can do that. Music starts at 12 o'clock, goes till 5. We have over 50 craft booths, including food items and dessert items. The speeder train will be out here. The Timber Heritage Association is bringing out double the tracks for the speeder train rides. The museum will be open from 1 to 4, and museum will be serving pastries and coffee. So let's all come out and enjoy Annie and Mary Day.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes, go ahead.
No.
Having many conversations with our Sheriff Billy Hansel,
again today, one with him. Quite pleased to see what kind of law enforcement we're currently having around Blue Lake. We cleaned up the encampment we had down there. There was a rather major bust just recently on a drug house just outside of Blue Lake there, and there's a couple other things in process. So we're getting a lot of great attention out there that's going to help our city. So we also had a thing where there was a murder down in Glendale, which is again in their experience. They have something called flock cameras, and according to Billy, he says the Glendale murders were solved by some great investigation work and use of the flock cameras. And then he went on to lament that some of the other areas aren't willing to put them in. But this is something that we benefit from greatly when they can solve a murder just about instantly by using technology. One thing was mentioned to me by a Deputy Mullen, who was involved with Sergeant Steele also to do the homeless encampment. We have a big problem in these homeless encampments with a lot of yard sale curb items that are left out, and then they get dragged off to these places. And I think I want to try and get the Safety Commission sometime to come up with some kind of a plan where, if you're going to have this citywide large sale, especially, you go ahead and if it's over at the end of the night, take your stuff off your curb, put it away for next year to sell, donate it, or take it to the dump, rather than having us have to pick it up and remediate. And that's a request from the Sheriff's Department. If we can minimize the amount of these things that are dragged off into the bushes to clean up later. So that's something hopefully the Safety Commission can attend sometime and come up with a policy. And maybe we need an ordinance. Hopefully not. Hopefully people need to do it voluntarily rather than leaving them out there for weeks on end. So thank you for the opportunity to speak today.
Great. Yes, go ahead.
Rebecca Collins. I want to give a shout out to the Makerspace. That mural's beautiful. And I think that the chamber is doing a great job in helping bring a lot of things to the community. And I like to see all this. And I'm happy about Annie Mary Days again and some positive things happening in the community. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other public comments?
Hi, I'm Jennifer Course. I just wanted to let the community know that during the food pantry distribution this Thursday, I'm going to be offering free blood pressure screenings for the community in front of Skinner Store and stroke awareness education to our community. I've been looking over data in Humboldt County experiences much higher levels of death rates for strokes. And it's actually twice the state average. And so I just wanted to let you all know about that. It's from 10 to 1 during that food pantry distribution. So come on down.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? All right. Moving on to item number 7, consent agenda, warrants and disbursements. Does the council have questions on this item?
I have a few. I think I can totally preempt one of them. If you see a line of things that have check numbers and zeros with no description, those are called voids and spoils, and those are checks that did not get issued, misprinted. Oh, okay. I am looking at check number 13026 to Avila. And it says annual renewal software fee. And I'm just curious if you could tell us what software that is. That's our finance software. Finance software, okay. And then I saw something else. 13081 to SHN for truck route. And that's for $44.79. So I'm curious if the truck route work is still ongoing, or if that's. Yes, it's still ongoing. It is. Okay.
Is that for phase 2 or still some phase 1?
There's still
cleanup?
things that are being worked on from phase 1.
Thank you.
I see. Okay. And back up that same page, the second one down, 13052, fire risk management services. What is that? Those are the people that hold our health insurance. Okay. And then there's a
a check for 13058 for wildland operators for $20,000 for the bike park. Can you share anything about that?
I paid an invoice that was for the bike park out of money that was donated by the people making donations to the bike park.
Okay. So was that just a portion that where donations were available, so you paid that amount?
Yes.
Okay.
What was the work done on that invoice?
Respectfully, I would love to answer these questions in writing if we want to move on. We have a really thick agenda, and I think these are questions I could totally address in writing later. That's, yeah, I feel like we have more things we need to get moving on to.
I
We're
feel like
paying an
I-
attorney like many hundreds of dollars a minute to sit here while you ask me questions about our warrants and disbursements, just to like put things in perspective.
I think a check for $20,000 for a bike park that we don't know what that involves is a legitimate question.
Yeah, I told you what it was for. Donations became available, an invoice was submitted, and I made the payment based on what the invoice said with the funds that were available.
What was the work performed?
I don't have that invoice right in front of me.
Any other questions?
Yeah, yes, just a point. I'm sure the answer will be similar, but check number 13057 US Bank Corp. That's our credit card.
Yes.
And at the last time we brought that up, we'd asked that we would have those the expenses itemized out for us, that we could also look at those.
Yes, I have not had an opportunity to do that with my current workload.
Any further questions?
Also, point of order, I'd like to point out nobody motioned to pull this from the consent agenda.
Oh.
I guess I'm wondering if we need to pull it if it's the only thing on the consent?
Yeah, because consent means you're going to either consent or you're going to pull it to talk about it.
Well, I apologize. I would have pulled it.
Well, then let's go ahead and do that now, just for the sake of getting in alignment with questions. Make a motion to pull item 7A,
I would
the
second.
consent agenda.
First and a second. Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All right, we pull the consent agenda.
Yes.
Or excuse me, the consent agenda item.
So that check number for wildland operators has already been issued, correct?
That's correct. The only things on that list in front of you are checks that were issued.
Is that all that is owed to that organization?
I don't believe so.
All righty.
I would move that we accept the warrants and disbursements.
Second.
First and a second. Any public comment on warrants and disbursements? Seeing none. It passes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
I still have questions, because with the bike park and that expenditure, I don't know that we've had a memorandum of understanding in place that we had spoken about for donations to be collected, how they would be tracked, how they would be dispersed and when. So for that reason, I am a nay.
Um,
I'm going to make a note. for
Can
the
we bring that up as a future agenda item? Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to item number 8, consider adoption of the 6th cycle housing element update and resolution number 1235. This is a discussion action item. Staff, either Gary or Danny, would you like to fill us in on this?
Yeah, I thought Gary is right there. I was
Great.
like, I thought he was here. I can start. Based on meetings that we've had with HCD, that council members Napier and Mayor Sawatsky were a part of, the HCD expressed a desire for us to expedite the timeline as quickly as we possibly can. That being said, even if we pass this tonight, we will still, for the rezoning action, be running up against that 12/15 deadline that we gave ourselves for doing the rezoning action. And so in order to try and keep us ahead of that deadline, you are being presented with the housing element.
Gary, have we heard back from them on if they've accepted our new timeline or, because
Yeah. I mean, they generally accepted it, but still asked my professional opinion of the quickest timeline that I believe it could be accomplished. So you should have received a copy of that. That went out on July 18th. So yes, they accept the timeline, but they're still putting pressure. And in fact, we had a meeting today where their deputy director of HCD inquired about a memorandum of understanding with the city. So entering into something that locks in, the city's obligations, the things that HCD will do to help the city, and staving off, enforcement action or potential fines and that type of thing. So they're highly encouraging the city to enter into that MOU, and that's something the council obviously can discuss, in the near future.
Thank you.
I wonder, since you guys had that phone call, I think it's been a couple weeks ago, and so just, is there anything more that you can share about the content of the phone call, other than they are just to move quicker?
As far as the one this morning, or
Well, not the one this morning. I'd like to hear about that too, but
Yeah.
if we could start for the one from the one that was 2 weeks ago, I think on a Monday afternoon, where I think John and Kat were part of that conversation.
So essentially, my questions for them were, like I think we're in good faith, trying to resolve this issue. Why did we receive the enforcement letter? And they said they did receive our enforcement letter. Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, but they were going to send us, or they received our timeline, but then they were going to send us the enforcement letter no matter what. So I was like,
Yeah.
why did you guys do that if we were like, obviously communicating with you in good faith to get this done? So they didn't really have an answer
They
for us.
basically explained that that's a tool that they use to put pressure on communities to come into compliance. Blue Lake had received one previously. I think it was in 2022 or something like that. So kind of similar thing they've done in the past. It's just one tool they have to put pressure on communities. And it was asking to meet and hammer out a more detailed timeline and milestones and things like that. And now they're following up with asking for a memorandum of understanding to memorialize some of these things.
Great.
Anything more from the meeting today?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I asked a bunch of questions of them, as Danny knows. Basically, they want the memorandum of understanding to cover coming to compliance for the 6th cycle and planning ahead for the 7th cycle. And I understand the 6th cycle. I get that. But I did say, can we deal with the 7th cycle later? I mean, the city doesn't have money to do that. Is there going to be state funding available? To what level of technical assistance can you provide? Do you have recommendations for firms that do this a lot that can be very efficient with the work, things like that? And so, basically I said, we'd like to include the 7th in there just to lay out some milestones. Okay. And that they're not aware of any funding to be available at this time. The big push to help folks get into compliance was in the 6th cycle. They don't necessarily have anything they can discuss right now that would help a city like Blue Lake get this done. So that was kind of unfortunate to hear. But anyway, they followed up with an email explaining the desire for the MOU. Soon that will be forwarded to you for your review. And they'll want to follow up and have meetings about it. At some point, the city attorney will need to be involved and review what's contained in this MOU. The Attorney General's office will be involved on their side as their attorney and that kind of thing. So other than that, let me just look through my notes. The timeline I provided to them, as far as my just professional opinion of the quickest timeline, they said that generally looks good. I stated in there, as you may have seen, that that's just my professional opinion. There's no guarantee that would happen. The council's committed to December 15th, that kind of thing, just to qualify it. Let's see. Yeah, he just, as I noted before, an MOU is something they would like to do instead of a stipulated judgment or any type of enforcement action. They're trying to work with the city. They're going to provide us more info on how this MOU process would work. Obviously, they'll develop some draft terms and outline for the city review, some milestones, obviously city attorney reviews. And then some of the benefits of the MOU is they did indicate that, one, they would provide enhanced technical assistance to the city to help with coming into compliance. They would commit to a faster review process, not these dictated by statutes such as 60 days and 30 days, at various stages of the housing element process. Um, yeah, I think that was kind of the gist of it. So.
So just to confirm, if we sign the MOU, we're not going to be continuing to get letters, or we would continue to get letters.
Well, that would be the idea. You would state in there that if you don't follow what you've committed to in this MOU, then there's certain penalties and things that could occur.
Okay.
There'll be grace periods, and that's how he described it. I
Okay.
think he called it a correction period, but anyway. So yeah, that was kind of the gist of the conversation.
Okay. And do we have any inkling of what sort of changes might be required for the 7th cycle?
Well, he did note you've got a good element this time. It's much better than your 5th cycle elements. You're in a good position to update it for the 7th cycle. We have heard something about the draft arena allocation. I think it's like 5,900 units for the whole county. And the draft on the one I just saw, it was 5,900 for the whole county.
Huge.
So, which is almost twice the prior cycle, the 6th cycle. So that's a lot more for communities locally to plan for. I think the draft I saw when they allocated it out to jurisdictions, Blue Lake had 38 units for the next cycle. However, they've made adjustments to the numbers since then. I haven't seen the final number.
Great.
I know you've answered the question before already, but is this pressure being put on us because we received the LEAP and REAP grants? Or is this
the pressure
to get this housing cycle done?
I think the way they look at that is that's one more reason for them to say we like literally paid for it. Come on, guys. Like that's he said that today. He said, giving jurisdictions that money during the 6th cycle was another reason they could say, look, we helped you do this, we paid for it, come into compliance.
Great.
So
all right. So what is the council? You guys want to talk about it a little bit or think about it or?
So this, I do have a question for you, Gary.
Yeah.
This came before us earlier in the year, and I know that, at least for myself as a council member, I was bringing forward public concerns. But at this point, from that point to where we are now, and taking out the piece that the housing allotment has changed because of the location of the bike park and that parcel.
And a couple things which I tried to outline in your
Right.
staff report. Yeah.
But other than those, I mean, is there any significant change, or where we were then is about what we have in front of us? Just
It
short
is.
term.
The primary change is that we reduced the projected number of units on certain sites. And I provided a map in your staff report that had labels that called out the different sites and said what was done and that kind of thing. So hopefully you all were able to understand that. If you have any questions about that, let me know. So that included changing table 21, changing figure 1, and then there was text edits that were associated with discussing the site inventory in the housing element. Then there was just some non-substantive revisions for little typos and things like that. Other than that, we then went and updated the CEQA initial study negative declaration to be consistent with these changes to the element and reducing the projected number of units. So those are the changes that have occurred since the last draft that you reviewed in March.
I was in addition to the edits that were made, I was wondering if table 8, the maximum household income by household size from 2019 on page 35 of 109 would be able to be updated to the latest numbers with the April 2025. I mean, just for completion.
So in the resolution that you have in your packet, it does give the city manager and city staff the authority to do non-substantive changes.
Okay.
So that would be considered a non-substantive change,
Gotcha.
and we definitely can do that.
Okay.
As part of the adoption process, sure. If there's any data, we didn't want to go spending additional money just to update data.
Right,
but
no.
if there's things you really would like to see updated, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, just for my own information because of the comprehensive document.
Yeah.
It's educational, and I would just like current numbers because
Sure.
they're significantly different from the ones from 2019.
And sorry, could you repeat what that was, just so I can write it?
Oh, on table 8 on page 35, the maximum household income by household size 2019 for Humboldt County.
Oh, just for Humboldt County, not the city?
No, I think it's just identified on here as for Humboldt County.
I'm on page 35 and it looks like it's table 14.
Are you
Am I
on?
looking at the wrong thing? I'm in this document,
The
page
pages should be
35.
really similar to
Well,
prior
I have
version.
mine's downloaded. Anyway, it's table 8. Whatever page that's on.
Yeah, so table 14 is affordable housing costs by income category. Table 8, maximum household income, so that'd be page 31.
31. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Also call attention to the comments received from Lisa Hoover. You should have received those. If you have any questions about any of those, please let me know.
Were you able to address them with her?
I was able to review them and I put some notes down for addressing them if the council would like.
Sure. That would be great. Thank you.
I just go one by one or?
Sure.
Okay.
Is that okay? Do we have?
Yeah.
How, I mean, how long it's gonna take? Is it gonna be
Yes, please.
expensive
I
or
don't know, I talk a lot, you see.
give us a layman's version?
Yeah.
Patty engineer.
I think more information is always better, so thank you.
Sure, sure. So, question 1, I think or comment 1, I should say. So I think what the commenter was saying is basically, it says, maintain the quality of living environment, enabling the development of balanced residential neighborhoods with access to affordable housing. Essentially, I think they're looking at some of the goals and some of the programs and saying they believe they conflict or they're not consistent with each other, I think is the gist of it. And essentially saying, if the goal policy is the development of balanced residential neighborhoods with access to affordable housing, that aims for consistency with existing development, ensuring sustainability, environmental protection. How can the goal and the program have credibility if combined zoning, I think she means the HI 14, the combining zone, can be applied to the R3 zone? I think she's trying to say that use of the combining zone on the R3 zone is inappropriate in some way, is what I'm getting out of it. So, I mean, that rezoning action, as you may remember, is a requirement of state law. When you haven't properly planned for your prior arena, or you didn't get the development you projected on certain sites, they ask you to do rezonings. I think you guys are familiar with what's being proposed there. The R3 zone is one of the zones it's proposed to be applied to. We don't necessarily see that happening now, but we incorporated it into it as a potential option in the future if it arose. And this is a combining zone meant to promote multifamily housing. R3 is the city's multifamily zoning district. So it makes sense to include it as a potential option. It may never be used in that way. I mean, right now, the opportunity zone is also listed as a potential place where that combining zone could be applied. And that would probably be more appropriate in the current planning cycle.
Did she have any concerns that need to be addressed that there couldn't be addressed? I guess
Yeah,
that'll be my
actually,
question.
she is
Okay,
present,
okay. Well, that's why I
so,
asked if you
yeah.
wanted me to go through each
Yeah.
one. So overall, I mean, just for number 1, I'll try and sum it up. Again, the rezoning action is to allow multifamily housing with only a building permit. It's specifically required by state law, and it's intended to minimize the uncertainty around obtaining a use permit. That's really the point. And so it could reduce the timing, the cost, having to, comply with conditions of approval, things like that. And the state views, needing a use permit as inhibiting the development of housing. That's the whole point of the rezoning action, and that's why we stated some of the things we stated in program HI 14, which I think she was concerned about. So anyway, I'm not sure there's necessarily something there that needs to be addressed, but that's just a general response to that one. So I can move on to comment 2. This has to do with HI 17 about ADUs. And the concern is at the end of HI 17, we say one option to accelerate production of ADUs is rezoning sites in the city that have non-residential zoning to zones allowing residential development. There's also other things proposed. That's almost like a nuclear option, but we saw other jurisdictions doing that, so we threw that in as an option. The reality is, though, none of those things would need to be done if the city's meeting its projections. So in this cycle, we're projecting 4 ADUs. That's what this says. Since the beginning of the cycle, there's been 5 building permits issued for ADUs. We've met the projections, so it's kind of a moot point. What it says in there, we wouldn't need to do anything to accelerate ADU production. So we're good on that one.
But it could be taken out, is what you're saying?
I would probably discourage modifying programs if you don't have to, because that would require additional HC review and prolong the timeline. So if it's something that's relatively benign, I would just leave it, honestly.
Thank you.
So item 3 or comment 3 is referring to HI 11. And it's saying basically this doesn't belong in the housing element because it refers to economic development type things. And this is not uncommon for housing elements because jobs, economic development go hand in hand with the need for housing. So you will find programs that talk about promoting economic development opportunities specific to the community. This one touches on tourism, ancillary services, the fishing industry, promoting cottage industries and home occupations, things like that. So this is also relatively benign and really not something that needs to be addressed, but it was requested that it be. So then we go into comment 4. This is basically saying, why are things described inconsistently in the site inventory? So they bring up a case where 2 sites are said to have constraints of creek corridor, creek setbacks, riparian habitat, flood zone, things like that. But one is listed as likely developable, one is listed as not likely developable. And really the point here is that, yeah, they may have similar constraints, but the severity of those constraints varies. And we take that into account when saying whether something's likely or not likely developable. And there's 2 properties that were listed in here. One of them was listed as likely developable at 4 units. That one, there's something in the permitting pipeline and application. They've determined they can potentially accommodate 4 units. Made sense to project 4 units for that property and describe it as likely developable. Another one is city-owned property near the downtown. It's mostly creek corridor. It doesn't really have room for housing, although it is vacant. So we list that as not likely developable. So in response to the 2 properties noted in the comment, that's the reason. They have varying severity of environmental constraints that are reflected in the projected number of units or the description of developability. So the last one is probably the one that you'll find the most interest in. It relates to environmental review and CEQA, cumulative effects. It says a number of things. I tried to break it up as far as my notes on the response by one's on biological resources and the analysis that was done. And then one part's on talking about categorical exemptions and other exemptions and then cumulative effects. So I'll start with the biological resources one. I think the concern by the commenter is that the section on bioresources in the initial study says that there's a potential for impacts to creeks and wetlands. And that's true. Some of these sites have creeks and wetlands. And so that's basically us identifying an environmental constraint on the properties. And sure, there's a potential, but most folks that are going to do a development are going to avoid those impacts because it triggers state and federal agency jurisdiction, potential mitigation, restoration, you name it. So avoidance is typically how people go about it. And we do say, yeah, there's a potential, but then we describe the whole regulatory framework at the local, state, and federal level that would come into play basically if somebody proposed to impact their jurisdiction. They would have to comply with city setbacks, all that kind of stuff. So in essence, it acknowledges the potential for impact, but it explains how that potential impact would be reduced to less than significant through compliance with the variety of regulations that are applicable to developing properties. And this is kind of a common analysis that you see, especially in CEQA documents done for policy level, documents like a housing element. So anyway, they're concluding that there should be mitigation required for biological resources in this CEQA document, and instead it should be a mitigated negative declaration, not a negative declaration. And for a document like this, where we're analyzing the impacts of a housing element update, again, it's a policy document. It's not going to result in any specific physical impacts to the environment that necessitate specific mitigations for project level impacts. We don't have plans on most of these sites, so some of that would be speculative anyway. The housing element is really identifying where housing can occur on sites that are already zoned to allow it. And future projects would have to consider those potential impacts. If, it's observed there's a wetland on a site, somebody's going to need to do a wetland delineation. They'll have to delineate where the creek corridor is and show a setback from it. All those things are part of the development review process. And that's the reason for the the determination of less than significant and not needing mitigation. So that's that one. The next one is kind of about cumulative effects, kind of saying that using a categorical exemption is not appropriate for the housing element. I'll just point out that there's a bit of confusion on the requirements of CEQA communicated in this comment. This comment's been provided before, and it seems to indicate the commenter thinks that we're using a categorical exemption for the housing element updates. It notes that categorical exemptions have exceptions that, if met, prevent their use. That is true. And it refers to a specific section of the CEQA guidelines, section 21159.24. Now, that section is not a categorical exemption. It's titled Infill Housing Exemption. It is an exemption under CEQA. It's just not a categorical exemption. And the city is not proposing to use either of those for their CEQA determination for the housing element update. The categorical exemptions, just a note, are actually found in section 15300 to 1533. I use them all the time in my practice as a planner locally. The infill housing exemption, which is referenced here by section, it's meant to be used for individual housing projects. And it's really meant for urban areas. It's kind of like the urban housing infill exemption, if you will. I don't know that any sites or projects in Blue Lake would qualify for that exemption if you read the criteria for it. It's certainly not meant to be used for updating housing elements. That's why we prepared an initial study. Yeah, initial studies are done when you're not doing an exemption. That's why you write a report that's over 100 pages analyzing all those resource categories and questions. If you were doing an exemption, you'd write a much shorter document that just explained how the criteria for the exemption is met. So just to kind of wrap it up on that item, the negative declaration essentially means we're concluding that adoption would not have a significant impact on the environment, adoption of the housing element. And that's discussed throughout that initial study, the reasoning for that. So that is a determination that has been used by many of the jurisdictions in Humboldt County and the state as a whole when updating their housing elements. And these jurisdictions also have vacant sites with environmental constraints, and they're not requiring mitigation in these types of CEQA documents because it's not necessary. That's typically done at, say, EIR level. When you're doing a comprehensive general plan updates, you'll have mitigations in there that apply to the community as a whole, or project-specific CEQA analysis. But for a policy level document like this, it doesn't have specific impacts on the environment. It's not necessary to include mitigations. The last part on cumulative impacts. I know this one has been brought up a lot by members of the community, members of the council. The comment essentially states there's no cumulative impact analysis in the initial study. Tried to refer to some of those exemptions as the reason why it needs to be done. It needs to be done in initial study. It is included starting on page 121. There's mandatory findings of significance you have to make at the end of an initial study, and that's where it's addressed. Now, it's done in kind of a summary analysis, as is typically done for CEQA analysis for these kind of policy type documents like a housing element. It goes through a bunch of points explaining, that the housing element doesn't really have specific impacts on the environment. It doesn't grant entitlements. It's not reviewing specific development proposals. It goes in to explain, the number of units that the RHNA is, the potential units that could happen on the vacant sites. I think it's 62 now with the revisions. Explains the percent increase in population. And essentially concludes that there would not be significant cumulative impacts from adoption of the housing element, especially considering, the city's decrease in population, economic activity. It's almost moved backwards from your general plan build out that's currently in your adopted general plan. So that's really kind of the basis for saying, we're basically moving back towards the size, population, and level of economic activity, or could be, that the city had in the 80s when it did its general plan update, or its more comprehensive general plan update in the past. So anyway, if you're interested, I encourage you to read that. But the other point I'd like to make is that I think what the community that have brought this up, what you guys are really asking for is a robust cumulative effects analysis on par with doing a comprehensive general plan update. That's what you do then. you know, and you would have to do technical studies for that, traffic studies, noise studies, all sorts of things to truly look at the cumulative effects of all potential future development as community. The housing element in CEQA docking cannot accomplish that. It's the wrong vehicle, the wrong tool for trying to do that. And as HCD commented in our meeting, do that later. You've got strict timelines on the housing element and should focus on that now and address those concerns later about future growth in the community. Because this housing element's narrowly focused on housing, the RENA allocation, and the vacant sites and development standards that inhibit potential housing development. It can't address all those things that the community wants addressed. It's, again, not the right instrument for that. That would be a comprehensive general plan update and its associated environmental impact report. So other than that, if there's any questions about any of that, let me know.
Council members?
I appreciate the explanation and using the wrong tool or whatever you said about addressing those issues. Makes a lot of sense. And I appreciate the word.
Any questions for Gary?
Gary, I have a question. So if the letter went out, the first letter that the council received about, it seemed pretty agreeable to allow the council to go out until, and just wanted a few months.
Yeah.
We would tighten that up. Do you think that that's still the case and they just want us to work as quickly as we can to get it done, by that timeline? Or?
Sure. And they're also asked your consulting city planner for his professional opinion, which kind of put me in a weird spot because you guys were like December 15th. And I'm like, well, technically my opinion can be done faster, and it was kind of weird. But I mean, at this point, they want you guys to do an MOU to really iron out what your obligations are, to set it in stone.
Okay.
An agreement that says you will do these things, they will do these things, and if you don't meet these timelines or obligations, these will be the consequences. So they're trying to memorialize or formalize, what the city's committed to. And I wouldn't be surprised if they brought up some of the stuff I said in my professional opinion, honestly. So hopefully you guys have had a chance to review that. For example, it said the soonest you could adopt this would be tonight. Technically, in my professional opinion, that is the soonest it can be done. So anyway.
Thank you, Gary.
I would like to add to that comment that the MOU is offered in lieu of a stipulated judgment, which is a court-ordered document that we would have to then go to court basically to participate in that, and the consequences of not complying with the timeline in the stipulated judgment are much more severe than if we were to go with the MOU process.
Ryan, do you want to weigh in on that at all?
I was going to have.
I can speak generally as to the concepts. An MOU is a contractual agreement with HCD. If we violate the terms of the agreement, depending on what the stipulated remedies are, they'd still need to go to a court to enforce it. Stipulated judgment is essentially us saying we stipulate to judgment there's going to be that we did not do what we were supposed to do. There's fines and penalties already established, and we essentially give up our right to litigate. And so as between the two, I'd certainly recommend an MOU, MOA, whatever form it comes in. Obviously, we need to negotiate, and I need to see what the terms are. But that's far better than a stipulated judgment.
Is that going to take extensive legal review to review the MOU, or is that going to be quick?
I don't know. I haven't been involved in the conversations. I don't know what the terms. If it's as simple as the city agrees to do these things by this timeline, and if we don't, they'll send us a notice, an opportunity to cure. That's a reasonable time frame. Then great. If we can get some concessions out of HCD with respect to their review of the things that we do, so that we can meet our timeline, then I think that's great. But I don't know.
Great. Ready to open up to the public? All right. Does the public wish to comment on this item? Yes. Adeline, go ahead.
Before doing that, can you just formally open the public hearing?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm formally opening the public hearing. Do we need a motion to do that, or?
I appreciate all the work of our city planner and our other professionals. I would encourage the city council to consider adoption of the sixth cycle housing element update and resolution number 1235. I think we need to get this moving. We need to get this going. There are so many problems with not passing it, and I'm not trying to be fearful about this, but we really do have we have an obligation to have affordable housing in this town, as every city does in California. So I would encourage the city council to consider very, very, very seriously moving on this evening. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Sorry, Lori, go ahead.
I agree with Adeline. I believe that we do need affordable housing. My question is the Danco project. How is that, I'm guessing contract affected by the passing of the housing element, or is it? So that's kind of, I think, something that nobody talks about, and it's out there. So just wondering if there is an obligation with Danco, if the housing element is passed. And I think there's been a conversation in the past about the Danco project, but that included most of the community. So is if you do one, is the other automatic, or what is the situation, I guess, with Danco contract? Thank you.
Ryan, is Gary allowed to answer that question? No. Yes, go ahead.
Well, that's fantastic news that we can enter into an MOU, which there's no reason to move forward until you understand that, because that's your timeline. So, it was interesting to hear that we got what I call the letter back in 2022, but we didn't have this outcry at that time, the chicken little, the sky is falling, which we have now. We have time to work through this. It's very nice of them to give us this grant as far as an MOU rather than a stipulated agreement. I think we have plenty of time to work through this with staff and with the competent council that we have here. It is a little bit distressing in some ways. I started looking at those particular lots that were being cut down as far as their usage and things go. One said just because it's a horse pasture, all of a sudden, I mean, it was a horse pasture before, it's a horse pasture now. Why is it not able to have the same amount of units on it? There's no logic to some of those. And how are those certain lots cut down and other ones weren't really addressed? The biggest concern that you have out here, and I have a public records request, which should have been taken care of 2 weeks ago. It hasn't been, which would enable the people to see and actually have online the Danco project. So I'm asking at this time, your staff, including your attorney and Gary, whoever, to go ahead and release that particular document to the public. It was said it might have something to have to be redacted. That was 2 weeks ago. And the public would like to see what is available, what's been submitted. And they said that it's preparatory or copyrightable. The plans aren't in there. The elevations are there. You can look at them in the city hall, but you can't take pictures and you can't do anything as far as that. We're talking transparency here, and the people would like to see what's been submitted, so we know what we're talking about, and it is definitely relevant to our housing element. And again, fantastic news. The sky is not falling. We do the MOU just like everybody else. It's very concerning to us in California that Blue Lake's population is going down, the state's population is going down, the county's population is going down. But they just have to seem like we just have to keep building and building and building and putting more concrete and buildings all over our nature things, which we like to preserve here. So thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Yes, Lisa, go ahead.
I'm Lisa Hoover. I sent my letter out, and thank you, Gary, for addressing some of those things. If I'd had the chance to meet with them before, that might have helped out. I do also recognize the need for housing, existing residents to serve housing needs, housing for those with special needs, et cetera. So
I want to be very clear about that I do support that. I think this is probably more of a question that had to do with the rezoning of sites that have non-residential zoning to zones allowing residential development. That was the implementation program number 17. Could those land, I guess what's not clear, and I wish it could be expressed in the document, would those apply to agricultural lands? Would they apply to open space? Would you be able to rezone those? Or are they mainly talking about rezoning existing residential or opportunity type zones? So that was one of the critical things. And I also, just in short, the cumulative effects, which y'all heard from me before, and I know that this is not a project-specific document, it's a planning document, but it seems there is a place to perhaps address how it will be looked at in the future. And that was my last sentence. I would ask that the initial study and housing element, where I could not find anything on cumulative effects, there's not a search engine available for me to look for that word, but my cruising through it, I couldn't find it. I would ask that the initial study and housing element address this item to provide clarification of how and when cumulative effects are going to be assessed in order to substantiate some of the categorical exemption of the CEQA. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Yes, Justin, go ahead.
So, city's 100 grand in debt right now, supposedly. By my rough calculations, we're going to spend 3-4 grand tonight in staff time discussing this. Come on, guys. Your whole staff is telling you, you pay them to advise you. They're telling you pass the thing. Just pass it. Let's move on. Let's quit spending all this money on nothing personal against the attorney. But man, you're spending hundreds of dollars an hour for him to advise you to pass the thing. So just pass it. Be done. Let's move on.
Thank you. Any further public comments? All right, Julie, go ahead.
Good evening, you guys. I really appreciate everybody being there this evening for this item. I'm sorry I was off agenda earlier, slipping in that, this given tonight's volume, and given the fact that we could, with the MOU as a potential at this point, we could bring this back really quickly again as a special meeting. And yes, Justin, I understand your discretion there, but at the same point, there's been a lot of discretion along the way that's just, instead of being really dealt with, it's just been a lot of rebuttal from SHN, and that's fine. Now, I have to have a little sympathy with Lisa, because when we set the ozone into fact, the mayor at that time explained that the residential wasn't what they aspired, her and the manager. They aspired to have tackle shops there and work housing, and so the zoning is really something we need to visit. And then our inventory site map with the revisions on it. Now, why didn't we have that revision map when we approved the restoration of the creek? That would have maybe impacted everybody's decision on the restoration project. Just saying, okay, with all the mandates. Why are we not having city properties on there on top, above private properties? Why is our inventory map the way it is? I think it's really not replicative of what our inventory is. Are we hoarding it for later? So the general plan stuff. So you guys have to understand, I already gave you my recommendations for the MOU, okay, and a special meeting really quickly. But the only reason I've had my discretions over the years for this process is that I spend my time, like I'm listening to you now doing chores. I listen to Access Humboldt. I listen to the other cities. I listen to the county. I listen to the process that they have gone through, amending their general plans, amending and updating their housing elements. And the ADUs, I don't want to blow that off. That was a huge topic. Kat, just recently at HCOG, we're going to come back with our allocations. Thank you for being our advocate there. Their HCD is coming back in August and Natalie Arroyo even brought up the fact that you know, and Arcata City, that we have a lot of demographic issues out here, and infrastructure is a huge thing when we're grafting all this stuff. We do need to get something into them, but tapping on a negative declaration is still something I've not seen another city or municipality do. Gary, correct me and tell me what other city has tacked on a negative declaration in Humboldt County. Thank you.
Seeing none, I'll bring it back to council for
Oh,
consideration.
really quick, can I
Oh.
interrupt? Terry, you're not wearing your microphone, hon. Can you put that on? Thanks.
Any further questions of
Mhm.
staff or consideration of adoption, or how do we feel about the MOU? It's got a couple options. Go ahead.
Could we, Gary, could you just answer that last question about the negative declaration in other cities?
Yeah, thank you.
So I actually did research that at one point and had the list. I don't have it before me tonight. You can look this up. It's publicly available information. You can go on their websites, look at their housing element updates, and see what their CEQA determinations were. At least about half of them. I think Rio Dell was one, similar size to City of Blue Lake, that did a negative declaration. But I encourage you to look. I can pull the list out later if you want, but about half of them did. Some of them did addendums, which is what we originally proposed to do, but the public said, no, we want a new CEQA document. So they were basically addendums and negative declarations. There may have been one, I don't know if it was the county, that already had like general plan update going on. So they did an EIR because that was just part of a greater effort. But those that were just updating their housing elements either did negative declarations or addendums. An addendum just says the prior analysis we did for the previous cycle, it's still good. So the negative declaration is the more thorough document that jurisdictions have done if they weren't already doing like a general plan update process and an EIR. So publicly available information, if folks were actually paying attention to those processes as they claim, they would have seen them.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions for Gary while we have him up there? All right. We'll discuss further. Gary, ever checked in with you yet? You have any?
No.
Okay.
Well, I'm ready to make a motion.
Do it.
I would like to move that we adopt the
Resolution 12.
updated,
Sorry.
sorry, go ahead, help me out. Resolution who?
1, 2, 3, 5.
2, 3, 5. Thank you very much. Resolution 1, 2, 3, 5. Adopting the 6th cycle housing element update.
I second.
We have a first and a second. Last call for public comment. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's roll call. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. All right. I'll go right to left. Cat?
Aye.
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 All right. It passes.
Stephanie and Nate here.
All right. We're on to a 5-minute stretch break.
Ah,
Blessing.
thank you for your good work, Gary.